As the war in Ukraine grinds into its second year, Russia is putting on a display of force this week, parading 8,000 troops in Moscow's Red Square in a Victory Day parade. But on the ground in Ukraine, that country has been slowly reclaiming occupied territory as it prepares for a counteroffensive this week in the eastern city of Bakhmut. Ukrainian forces say they partially destroyed a Russian brigade. Joining me now in studio with his observations is one of Russian President Vladimir Putin's most vocal critics, author and financier Bill Browder. Great to have you in studio with us. Now, we're going to get to Putin and Ukraine in just a moment, but I wanted to start with a matter that is pressing to you on a personal level. Your friend, journalist, activist, fellow Putin critic Vladimir Kara-Murza was sentenced to 25 years in prison in April for treason-related charges. Tell us about what's happened to your friend in the past year.
So Vladimir is one of the most vocal critics of Vladimir Putin. He's also the person responsible with me for getting the Magnitsky Acts passed around the world. Putin has hated him ever since the Magnitsky Act was passed here in Canada and the United States. He was poisoned twice in 2015 and 2017, nearly died in both cases. He went back to Russia to protest the war at the beginning of the war in March of last year. He was on CNN, called Putin a murderer. He was then arrested, charged with treason for protesting the war, and they just sentenced him to 25 years. He's in prison. He's suffering from all of the after effects of the poison, and I don't think he'll survive 5 years, let alone 25 years. And so it's really a desperate situation.
I know the only way of communicating is through his lawyer, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And what is his lawyer saying about his physical health?
It's not good. He's lost like 25 kilos. He's suffering. He can't feel his feet anymore because of nerve damage from the poisoning. It's really a desperate situation.
And what are you hoping Canada can do on his behalf?
Well, there's a proposal in the Canadian Parliament to make Vladimir an honorary Canadian citizen. He's of the same ilk as Nelson Mandela or Nathan Sharansky, very famous political prisoners. And we want to make him an honorary Canadian citizen, and we want the Canadian government to work alongside other governments, the US, UK, and others, to come up with a plan to free him, because he's a very valuable person. He's the kind of person who should be leading Russia when this war is over.
How difficult is that process to get Canada on board?
Well, it's not easy. I mean, he's beloved inside the halls of Parliament in Ottawa, but there's all sorts of dysfunction. So I'm trying to rally different friends of his, different politicians and parliamentarians to come on his side.
Russia handed 2 soldiers sentences of 2.5 years for refusing to fight yesterday. Russian courts are handling 482, we have that number on your screen, 482 cases of soldiers who are refusing to carry out orders. That's on top of the casualties, estimated by the U.S. in February to be between 189,000 and 223,000 people killed. How do you think Putin is handling these insubordinations and losses?
Well, I think these 2 soldiers you're talking about are the lucky ones. Normally, they send the soldiers into battle. The Ukrainians are firing at them from the front, and then there's a group of Russian soldiers behind them firing from behind if they turn around. It's the most brutal thing you can ever imagine. This is sort of like World War II tactics. And so anyone who's sent into battle is effectively sent to die, and they know that.
Ukrainian officials have confirmed that a counteroffensive is in the works. How do you think Putin will be adjusting strategy in Ukraine?
I don't think he has a strategy. I think that he always assumed that he was going to win this war in 3 days. It's been a total humiliation, as you mentioned, these unbelievable number of casualties, not to mention all of the equipment that they've lost. In their famous Victory Day parade, there was one, sort of decrepit tank in the whole thing. I mean, they've literally lost everything that they have. And so they're in a very bad situation. I think the Ukrainians are hesitating on the counteroffensive because they could go ahead right now, but they'd lose a lot of soldiers. They're waiting for as much equipment to come in as possible before they start this. And I think it's going to go very well for the Ukrainians, but it's going to be painful to watch no matter what, because there's going to be losses, big loss of life, because Putin has taken over parts of Ukraine that need to be taken back.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in today to hear your thoughts and also to highlight the importance of your friend Vladimir and his situation. Thank you, Mr. Browder.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.